So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Charles Bowl. I'm a faculty member at the University of Miami School of Architecture. I'm an urban planner by training, and I've been your moderator for the morning. We have a couple of summaries that we would like to do, quick summaries, before we open the floor. And I've been given the easiest task. I was asked to summarize the conference for you. So on the first day at 9 o'clock, Peter Ellman spoke. And if I were to summarize Peter's talk in 10 sentences, or no, I'm not going to go through it like that. The summary of the conference is, this has been a fabulous, and I would say really world-class conference, building on last year's experience in Stockholm, but all made possible by you, the participants. So congratulations and thank you for sharing your time and ideas and energy with each other and with us for the past few days. You participants, as well as our speakers, have included leading academic theorists and researchers who we heard from a couple this morning. They'd hate to hear it, but they are really thought leaders. Excellent architects and urban designers whose work is committed to placemaking and the public realm, who start with a dialogue and engagement with citizens, with the community, and should really be proud of the work they're doing. People in planning and transportation and environmental fields, leaders in those fields in their fields as well as in their communities. Policymakers at the international, national, and local level, including the UN Habitat people who have done a terrific job in keeping us focused on the end goal and bringing in a lot of great speakers to this conference to enrich the international content and dialogue that I think we really achieved this time. We have activists here, people who are with nonprofits and other organizations really making things happen at the grassroots level and giving voices to those who are underrepresented in the planning process and the importance of public space for all of those communities. We have the Project for Public Spaces, which has defined placemaking for decades and continues to share its knowledge and experience throughout the world, really. Poor Ethan is traveling constantly, spreading the word and engaging new people. And they are going to go from here to Pittsburgh in a few days for Placemaking Leadership Council. And then most of all, the Axon Johnson Foundation, which we met at the end of last year's conference and we had a discussion about where to go next and what to do. And I think part of these conferences and these discussions get us out of our comfort zones. So myself as a planner, someone else as an architect, someone else as an engineer, and all of our different professions. And we come into conversations and we're presented with ideas and we're challenged by other perspectives. And I think with this conference, the foundation really stepped up and boldly went outside of their comfort zone and went to an entirely different part of the world and made an enormous commitment of time and energy and staff in pulling the program together. And I think did just a marvelous job, and I'd like to congratulate them all on the effort. Thank you. By coming to Buenos Aires, we were able to engage so many more people from this part of the world, so that was a tremendous move, and congratulations on that. And so that's my summary of the conference. And at this point, I would like to reintroduce Cecilia Martinez, who you heard in the opening session, who gave a terrific talk that morning. Cecilia is also a valued member of the steering committee for the Future of Places initiative, and she's going to share next steps and a key document that you'll be able to comment on going forward. Cecilia?
Thank you very much, Charles. And this is really the effort of everybody here. As you will remember, if you were here the first day, that I was asking and I gave some recommendations and then I asked everybody to start adding up. And you did, which we were very, very pleased. And people were sending things, not only tweeting, but sending it through the webpage and so on. And with the help of Kyle, where are you? Kyle? Yeah, there. Thank you. Help us put it all together, and then we started putting them and grouping them somehow. So this is the starting point, but we think it's important because it reflects not only this conference, it adds up to the conference in Stockholm as well, and the charter, and lots of the things that have been said here. And we think it's important that you all leave with certain messages. And thinking about PPS, that always talks about 10, how do you call it, Fred? The power of 10. We thought 10 messages are very good for a starting point. So here they are, and oops, I don't see that. First of all, everybody reaffirmed the role of public places as a connective matrix on which healthy and prosperous cities must grow. And when we talk about public spaces, everybody now thinks streets, squares, parks are the essential to human capacity, can afford interaction, exchange, creativity, knowledge. They can transfer all these things. They support the capabilities of residents to improve their own prosperity, health, and well-being, and to modify their own relations to one another and adapt to conditions and opportunities. So there is a connective matrix for great cities to grow. But if these essential requirements cannot function, if certain things that have been shown through evidence and history, but they are often ignored as a result of professional, administrative, and especially political limitations. So that's what we are trying here, to give key reforms in current practice that could put back all these ideas. So the first message, because we're talking about messages right now, it's about public space in rapidly urbanizing cities. So all of you emphasize that cities need to establish spatial plans, strategies, and frameworks that aim to accommodate urban population changes and rapid growth, rather than constrict and constrain. Whether your city needs to redensify, to revitalize, to expand, they are all in need of imminent help of traditional block patterns, arterial, and street grids. Investing in main squares and parks with the help of legislation can create high quality in the architecture of the streets and public spaces, despite periods of change. The second message reflects the importance of street networks as interconnected public spaces. Streets should serve as multimodal networks of social and economic exchange, built around the notion of interconnected public space. If you promote density, social interaction, and amenities and services of mixed use in cities, we can then apply an approach that emphasizes walkability and multimodal mobility, and we can encourage a fine-grained block structure enhancing the street network. The third message is about public space at the human scale. Studying the social behavioral of the users of public space is essential. Through observation and understanding of human biomechanics, senses, and behavioral patterns throughout different intervals in time, public space can be designed to cater to a variety of human variables, speed, shape, and distance. This can then be followed by simple temporary interventions to promote positive behavioral patterns. The fourth message is about public spaces designed as multidisciplinary arenas of sustainability. Oops. Is that the one? I don't see well. Nope, sorry. Yeah. Here. That's the one, yeah, thanks. Properly designed public spaces not only contribute to improve the overall visual character of a city, but they also stimulate economic activities and enhance the functionality of the city. high-density areas with adequate public spaces and infrastructure, facilitate non-motorized and public transport, encourage walking, cycling, and other forms of eco-friendly mobility, thereby reducing carbon emissions and cutting down reliance on fossil fuels, so important today. The fifth message is about the benefits of investing in public space, because investing in public space can have social and economic benefits for the cities. If people are committed to their future in a specific place, they tend to invest more time and capital in that place. As a result, having a positive impact on the local gross domestic product. The economic factor shows that public space has potential to offer economic returns on investment. Additionally, land value capture can be utilized as a tool employed by the municipality to collect captured value in the form of taxes as a result of their public investments. As we clearly saw it with the mayor yesterday, that showed us, even with little money that she acquired from the proper taxes, she did wonders to the city. The sixth message is public space as a citywide approach. The consequences of poor urbanism can be detrimental, and that is why a holistic view of the city is needed. When designing public spaces, attention needs to be placed not only on the space itself, but the form, the function, and the connectivity of a city as a whole. Promotion of public space interventions directed at enhancing passages, establishing crossings, breaking down barriers, and upgrading other functional localities throughout the city should be promoted. Seventh message is access to public space within the public and the private spheres. There has been a substantial reduction in access to public space, as we have seen here, creating unclear boundaries between the public and private spheres, which has the potential to limit democracy. There is a need for a new paradigm that should recognize the inability of the market to ensure the creation of a hierarchy of public and private open spaces protected over time. We need a more nuanced approach to planning, protecting, and designing the urban hierarchy of open places, including semi-public and semi-private spaces. That was talked a lot here. The eighth message is the need for inclusive public space for all, particularly the vulnerable groups. Planning and designing public space for all implies taking special account of the most vulnerable portions of the population and those who do not have a voice. This means the populations that are in vulnerable situations to ensure equal, safe, and healthy access to the public realm. When we talk of vulnerable groups, we think most particularly of the urban poor. But we have to think as well of those in high-density neighborhoods, even if they're not poor, and those with small dwellings. They need to be satisfied from a social, political, and spatial perspective when it comes to the public realm. The ninth message is about people-centered approach to spatial planning. These 3 days, a lot of you mentioned and stressed the importance of people-centered. As an arena for public use and social interaction, public spaces are most often developed, managed, and maintained on behalf of the municipal government. If the municipal government adopts a people-centered approach to urban planning, where the people guide the development of the city, they will more effectively achieve sustainable development. Emphasis needs to be placed on a shared responsibility between community and private entities in regards to the design, maintenance of public space. And last but not least, public space reflected in the Sustainable Urban Development Agenda. So in order to create people-centered cities, public space as an interdisciplinary and intermodal sphere that interacts with all segments of the population needs to be highlighted in the International Sustainable Urban Development Agenda. There is a need to establish a network of public space actors, starting with you, of course, equipped with common principles and tools to ensure that adequate policy and management of public spaces are adopted and monitored in and beyond the post-2015 development agenda, including the Sustainable Development Goals and the new urban agenda that will arise out of Habitat 3 in 2016, as Thomas Mellin told us about it in the first day. So we all need to ensure that our countries, our cities, know about these messages. We have to make them our own and try to push the future of places to become a reality for all of us. Very important additional information. As the Americans would say, there's no free lunch. So before we go to lunch, we want to ask you two things, and we're proposing two things for you. One is, it will be very difficult for us, even if the floor is going to be open right now to all kinds of reflections, recommendations, and so on. I think it's important that you take these messages with you. We have some papers spread around, but they will be certainly in the webpage of the Future of Places. And we are proposing to open 1 month where you can send comments, additions, recommendations, whatever you think should be added to these notes. These notes were put here right now in the last day and partly night of yesterday and today. But I think it's important that all of you read them, reflect on them, see how they affect you, your city, your country, and make those comments within the next month. Why the month? Because, as you know, we're already short of time. We need to start working now, and the sooner, the better. The other thing that is important for you to know is we are opening as well during 6 months. We would love to hear you reporting what are you doing within your own cities, your universities, your NGO groups, within the ministries or the whatever. What are you working in terms of Future of Places? So we can start having like an additional report of what's going on in the world. So it's very important for us to know what are you doing about it. I think this is it. And I turn the floor to you. Thank you.